Okay, first thing now we're gonna do on our, this is the upper collar, and it's sewn to the facing and to the back neck facing and the front facing. Again, if you don't have a back neck facing, this would just be the lining here. And we're going to put in what's called a Tailor blister. And this is what it looks like. And the reason we're doing this is because we want to favor the seam to the wrong side. This is the right side that we're going to see the upper collar. So that means we need to have a little extra fabric here. So by tucking a little bit out, when I sew my seam edges to edges, then when I undo it, it'll cause that seam to roll under. Okay, and how do you do a Tailor blister? Very simple. If you just fold your fabric kind of diagonally, and then you want to pick up about 1/8, but you got to pick it up and make sure that you do it so you can still get to your 5/8 here and 5/8 here. So I think this is okay, but I might need to back it off just a little bit. And then you're going to do it at the collar point there and also at the facing, because we want this also to cause the seam to be favored to the wrong side. So I've got all 4 of my Tailor blisters in, and they show you how to do this in your book. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to pin the units together now. So you have 2 different units. See how we've got the under collar with the jacket, or the actual jacket, and then we've got the upper collar with the facings. So now I'm going to match this up, and I'm going to match up all my edges. Okay. And I notice here how I've done my 5/8, 5/8. So I know exactly where to pivot to change that. Okay, now here I come to this dot. So I've got this dot here, and I've connected these 2, and this and the dot here is connecting these 2. Then I've got to sew dot to dot. So I'm going to put that right here. Okay, and you want all 4 of those to come in at the same place. So that gets kind of tricky to do this dot, because I've got this dot to here, and I've got this one to here. And those need to match up. Basically, 4 corners need to match up. So when I pin this, I'm going to put my pin through and make sure that that matches up. And see, I want that to match up, I want it to match up where I've terminated this seam right here. So I'm going to put that pin in there like that so it matches. And then this, I can always make that work. So I'm going to take another pin now, and I'm going to go in like that. Okay, so that, like, see where that red, where I've stopped stitching with the red seam. And then if I look over on this side, I would need that one as well. So I'm going to push this over just a little bit so that I can get those exactly on. So okay, there it is in the middle of that pin, and it's right there where that pin comes out. So I should be good. And then this, I can just pin that. That'll be my 5/8. Then I'll come to this corner and I'll turn. And then, see, now I push this over to this side, so you can see how it's holding out some fabric here with that blister. And then I pin this down, and I want to match up my center back. So I've got to find my center back here. And it's right here. So I'm just going to put a pin there, like that, and then match that up here to the center back. Okay. All right, and then this should match up nice right here. And then I've got this matching up nice here. Okay, so there's that. Now let's go over here and pin this one, and this one goes all the way to the hem. And obviously this is a sample, So very short, little tiny jacket. And I'm just gonna match up the notches and just match it up along here, and then I'll go back and match up the corner good. Okay, there's that. Okay, now let's go over here. Okay, so now I've got to match this dot, pull that back and match those. Okay, and see, and the other thing is you want to make sure, so this right here matches that right there. Now I've got my dot, but I stopped stitching here, so that's where I'm going to match up. If you're off a little bit on your dot, this one matched up good, but that one might have been off just a teeny bit. So just match up where you stopped stitching. Now I've pulled this pin through to line them both up. So what I could do is just keep that pin straight and put in another one that kind of, so that is right in the middle, and it's right in the middle there. Okay, so I can pull that out. So do you see how I've got the dot brings 4 corners together, okay? And so I just want to make sure, yeah, it looks like my 4 corners are good. Now, if you want to, there's a few little tricks to get these. Like I've pinned mine pretty good, I think. And you also have to remove each side, each seam allowance as you do it. You also start at the dot, so you can get your needle right where you want it. And then you can go forward a couple of stitches and then back a couple stitches, and you can do the same here. Now, one thing you can do, and this is a tip in your book, you can get a needle and thread and go through one dot, through this dot, and then back around through this dot and this dot, so you get kind of thread that pulls them all together. I think I've got them pinned pretty good. So now I'm going to go up here and pin this corner and right here. I just got to make sure I'm going to pull that just a little bit to get it to match up good. Okay. All right. Okay, there we go. I'm going to use a number 20 foot, which is it's an open toe foot, and it helps me to see better. And sometimes when I'm going to put my needle in here. I'm going to go forward 2 or 3 stitches. Now, when I go backwards, one thing you can do is just turn it around and go forward again, and then turn it around and go forward. So that kind of helps you to get this accurate, because this little dot where those 4 points come together is very critical. Okay, that's what you want to have. And then I'll go dot to the collar, and when I come to this collar, I'm going to come to the collar, and then I'm going to go over like 2 stitches and go to center back. Okay, and I'm going to use smaller stitches right here at the corner, and then I will stop at center back, and then I'll go back to the corner and go here and do the hem. So let's go ahead and sew this.